everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into a book of the Bible that's a bit different from the usual stories of miracles and battles. We're cracking open Ecclesiastes, a book that tackles the big questions of life head-on. Ecclesiastes is like that friend who keeps it real. The author, traditionally thought to be King Solomon, has seen it all: wealth, wisdom, pleasure. But something's nagging at him. Is there more to life than chasing after stuff and fleeting happiness? This book doesn't shy away from the tough stuff. We'll hear about the frustration of life's seeming pointlessness, the unfairness of the world, and the fleeting nature of everything we achieve. But fear not, there's wisdom to be found here too. Buckle up as we explore what truly matters and how to find meaning in a world that can feel pretty meaningless at times. So, hit that subscribe button and let's get real about life with the book of Ecclesiastes. Ecclesiastes is all about what the narrator, often called the teacher, refers to as hevel. Now, that doesn't exactly translate to happy-go-lucky. Hevel is more like meaningless, fleeting, or even a bit like smoke. The teacher's basically saying chasing after worldly stuff like wealth, pleasure, or success won't bring lasting happiness. It's all gonna vanish like a puff of smoke. So, is life just pointless then? Not quite. The teacher does offer some wisdom. He says to find joy in simple things like good food, good company, and honest work. He also emphasizes living in the moment because you never know what tomorrow brings. But here's the kicker. Ultimately, the teacher finds true meaning comes from living in reverence to God. Think of it as an anchor in the whole life is hevel storm. Ecclesiastes might not be a sunshine and rainbows kind of book, but it's a brutally honest take on life's struggles. It's a must-watch for anyone who's ever questioned the point of it all. So stick around and let's unpack the wisdom and maybe a little existential dread of Ecclesiastes. The book kicks right off with a mysterious figure called the preacher. Tradition tells us this is King Solomon, but that's up for debate. Verse 1. The preacher starts with a bang, saying, "The words of the preacher, the son of David, king in Jerusalem." This establishes authority like, listen up, I've got some wisdom to share. Verse 2. Then comes the famous line, "Vanity of vanities," says the preacher, "vanity of vanities, all is vanity." Whoa, that's pretty harsh. The Hebrew word here is hebel, which means like smoke, a puff of air, or something fleeting and ultimately meaningless. So the preacher is basically saying, everything is pointless. Verse 3. The preacher drives the point home with a question, "What profit hath a man of all his labor which he taketh under the sun?" Basically, what's the point of all this work if it's all gonna fade away? So, what's the deal? Is the preacher just a big bummer? Well, there's more to the story. Ecclesiastes is a book that grapples with life's big questions. What's the meaning of it all? Does anything truly matter? The preacher doesn't necessarily have all the answers, but he challenges us to think about these things. Stay tuned, because as we explore Ecclesiastes, we'll see the preacher examine different aspects of life: pleasure, work, relationships, all through this lens of searching for meaning. It's a journey that might surprise you, and it might just make you think a little differently about your own life. In these verses, the author, known as the teacher, throws down some serious truth bombs about life. The teacher starts with a blunt statement, "Vanity of vanities. All is vanity," Ecclesiastes 1 verse 2. Whoa, deep breath. This word vanity isn't about how much you love your reflection. It means fleeting, temporary, with no lasting significance. The teacher is saying, chasing after stuff under the sun, money, possessions, pleasure, won't bring lasting happiness. Life seems like a cycle. Generations come and go. The sun rises and sets. Ecclesiastes 1 verses 4 to 5. Is there any point? The teacher explores this feeling of purposelessness. We strive and toil, but everything seems repetitive. What has been is what will be, and what has been done is what will be done, and there is nothing new under the sun. Ecclesiastes 1 verse 9. He even tries to find meaning in wisdom and knowledge, but concludes that, with much wisdom comes much sorrow. Ecclesiastes 1 verse 18. Then, he dives into pleasure-seeking, fancy houses, gardens, wine, hoping to find something good. But again, disappointment. It was all vanity. Ecclesiastes 2 verse 1. So, if everything is meaningless, what's the point? Don't worry, the book doesn't end there. The teacher's search for meaning continues, and we'll explore that in the next video. But for now, remember, this passage is about acknowledging the limitations of finding fulfillment solely in worldly pursuits. Here are some questions to ponder. What are the things you chase after? Do they bring lasting happiness? Where do you find meaning in life? Let's discuss in the comments below. Focusing on verses 1 to 15. This section is often called "There's a Time for Everything," and it unpacks a profound truth about life. Let's break it down. The passage starts with a powerful statement: "For everything there is a season, and a time for every activity under heaven." Life is filled with cycles, with beginnings and endings. There's a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to harvest. It goes on to list opposites: times of weeping and times of laughter, of building and tearing down, of loving and even hating, which some translations interpret as a time of setting boundaries. The point isn't that these good and bad times are random, but that they're all part of the flow of life. But is there any meaning to it all? The writer acknowledges the frustration we can feel with this constant change. Verse 9 asks, "What profit has the worker from toil?" We work hard, things change, and sometimes it feels pointless. Here's the encouraging part. Even though life has its ups and downs, verse 11 says God has made everything beautiful in its time. There's a purpose in the cycle, even if we can't always grasp it. So, how do we live in this world of constant change? Verse 12 gives some guidance. There is nothing better for people than to be happy and to do good while they live. Focus on joy and purpose in the present moment. And verse 13 adds another layer. We should find satisfaction in the work we do, enjoying food and drink and all their toil. God has given us these gifts to experience life. Ecclesiastes doesn't shy away from life's difficulties, but it offers a message of hope. Embrace the cycles, find joy in the present, and appreciate the gifts God has given us. Ecclesiastes, chapter 3 verse 16 to chapter 5 verse 20 is a roller coaster passage of observations about life, so buckle up. Season for everything, 3 verse 16 to 22. The chapter starts with a familiar idea. There's a time for everything. Birth, death, planting, building, even weeping and laughing, life has its rhythms. But then things get interesting. The author, often called Koheleth, sees injustice everywhere. He ponders if humans are really better off than animals. We all die and return to dust. It's a bit depressing, right? Finding joy in the journey, chapter 3 verse 22 to chapter 4 verse 3. But wait, there's a turn. Koheleth says the best thing we can do is find joy in the work we have. It's what we're given, so why not embrace it? The oppressed and the dead, chapter 4 verse 1 to 3. Then the mood shifts again. Koheleth sees the suffering of the oppressed and envies the dead who are at least free from pain. Yikes! Competition and contentment, chapter 4 verse 4 to 12. He observes competition and envy fueling human ambition, calling it meaningless. He encourages contentment with what you have, because who knows what the future holds. Strength in numbers, chapter 4 verse 9 to 12. Koheleth acknowledges the value of companionship. Two are better than one, because they can help each other. Better poor and wise than rich and foolish, chapter 4 verse 13 to 16. Here's a cool proverb. Being wise and poor is better than being rich and foolish. Wisdom provides security, even if wealth seems more glamorous. Promises and Prayer, chapter 5 verse 1 to 7. Koheleth warns against rash promises to God. Think before you speak. He also advises moderation in everything, even worship. Don't get caught up in religious performances. The Evils of Wealth, chapter 5 verse 8 to 16. The passage criticizes the greed and insecurity that often come with wealth. It's better to have a little and enjoy it than to hoard possessions. Finding Purpose, chapter 5 verse 17 to 20. Life may be full of ups and downs, but Koheleth suggests finding purpose in simple pleasures, eating, drinking, and enjoying the work we do. So, what does it all mean? Ecclesiastes doesn't give easy answers. It acknowledges the absurdity and suffering in life, but also offers glimpses of finding meaning in the present moment through work, relationships, and appreciating what we have. It's a reminder that even in a chaotic world, there are ways to create pockets of joy and purpose. Let's jump into another passage from Ecclesiastes, this time focusing on chapter 6 through chapter 8 verse 17. Buckle up, because Ecclesiastes continues with a bit of a bummer vibe. The Unhappiness of Material Wealth, chapter 6 verse 1 to 6. The book opens with this idea of a cosmic injustice. Imagine someone blessed with wealth, possessions, everything they ever wanted. But there's a catch. They can't enjoy it. Maybe they're too busy or lack the capacity to appreciate it. This, says Ecclesiastes, is a terrible fate, a sickening tragedy. The passage goes on to say that a short life with no fulfillment is even worse than a long, wealthy one that can't be savored. Basically, it's arguing that true satisfaction isn't found in material things. Work, Satisfaction, and Advantage, chapter 6 verse 7 to 9. Ecclesiastes then dives into the nature of work. We all work to survive, to fill our bellies, but are we ever truly satisfied? The book asks what separates the wise from the foolish, or the rich from the poor, when it comes to basic needs and desires. The Mystery of Life, chapter 6 verse 10 to 12. Here, things get a bit philosophical. The passage says everything has already been named and defined. There's no escaping our fate. We can't argue with a higher power. With so much said already, what's the point of even speaking? The big question rolls in. What truly is good for us in this short, fleeting life? Ecclesiastes says we can't know for sure what's coming next. Shifting gears, chapter 7 verse 1 to chapter 8 verse 17. This section is a collection of sayings. Some talk about the value of a good reputation over wealth, while others warn against speaking too much or being overly righteous. There are also verses about enjoying life's good moments, but with the reminder that everything is fleeting. Remember, Ecclesiastes isn't here to sugarcoat things. This passage is a reminder that life can be unfair, and true happiness isn't guaranteed by wealth or possessions. The book is also honest about our limited knowledge of the future. So, what are we to do? Well, some interpretations suggest Ecclesiastes is prompting us to appreciate the simple things, to find meaning in our relationships and experiences, rather than just chasing material wealth. This is just one way to look at it, and the beauty of Ecclesiastes is that it leaves room for your own interpretation. Let me know your thoughts about this passage in the comments below. Ecclesiastes is an enigmatic book. Now let's tackle chapters 9 to 12, where the author grapples with life's uncertainties and how to find meaning in a seemingly meaningless world. Facing the randomness of life, chapter 9 verse 1 to 6. The chapter kicks off with a sobering realization: life can be unfair. Good and bad things happen to everyone, regardless of how righteous or wise you are. It's frustrating, like a coin toss where luck, not merit, dictates your outcome. This randomness might make you want to throw your hands up, but Ecclesiastes offers a glimmer of hope. Being alive is the point. Chapter 9, verse 4-5. Even though life can be unpredictable, there's a crucial advantage to being alive: hope. A living dog is better off than a dead lion, as the verse says. Sure, death is inevitable, but while you're here, you can experience joy, love, and all the richness life offers. Seize the day. Chapter 9, verse 7-10. So, how do we make the most of this precious time? Ecclesiastes suggests embracing the simple pleasures, enjoying a good meal, spending time with loved ones, and finding satisfaction in your work. Don't wait for some perfect future. Cherish the present moment because that's all you're guaranteed. Work hard, but remember. Chapter 9, verse 10-12. The book urges you to be diligent in your work, but with a healthy dose of realism. Give it your all, but acknowledge that success isn't always guaranteed. Sometimes, bad timing or unforeseen circumstances can derail even the best plans. Life is fleeting. Embrace the mystery. Chapter 11, verse 1-6. Life is unpredictable, like a bird caught in a trap or a fish in a net. You never know when your time is up. The best you can do is plant your seeds, invest in good works, and trust that something good will come of it. Remember your Creator. Chapter 12, verse 1-7. As you age, remember your Creator. Life is a gift, and with it comes responsibility. Take care of your body, enjoy the beauty of the world, and pursue wisdom throughout your days. The final word. Chapter 12, verse 13-14. The book concludes with a call to fear God and keep His commandments. Ultimately, finding meaning goes beyond earthly pursuits. Living a life that honors God is the key to true fulfillment, even if the full picture remains a mystery. Remember, Ecclesiastes doesn't offer easy answers, but it does challenge us to wrestle with life's big questions. So, what do you think? How do you find meaning in a world that can feel random and unfair? Leave a comment below and let's get the discussion started. The book of Ecclesiastes is a surprisingly chill but thought-provoking part of the Bible. Ecclesiastes throws some shade on our usual ideas of finding meaning in life. Theme 1. Life is really fleeting. The preacher, the book's narrator, often thought to be King Solomon, keeps saying hebel, meaningless, like chasing smoke. Our achievements, wealth, pleasure, they all fade away. This can be a bummer, but it's a wake-up call to focus on what truly lasts. Theme 2. Work, work, work. The preacher explores different paths to happiness: work, pleasure, wisdom. He finds work can be frustrating, but also provides satisfaction and purpose. There's a message here about finding fulfillment in what you do, but not getting obsessed. Theme 3. Seize the day, but with God. Ecclesiastes isn't all doom and gloom. The preacher tells us to enjoy simple pleasures, good food, and relationships. Life is short, so find joy in the present. But here's the twist. True meaning comes from living in relationship with God. Why is Ecclesiastes so important? This book is honest. It acknowledges life struggles alongside the good stuff. It reminds us that finding purpose isn't about external things, but about living a life connected to something bigger. Ecclesiastes is a surprisingly relatable book for anyone who's ever felt lost or unsure about what matters. So next time you feel like life is smoke, remember Ecclesiastes. It doesn't have all the answers, but it challenges us to find meaning in the present, with a healthy dose of reality and a sprinkle of hope. Before we finish up here, we want to hear from you. So, what do you think? What are your takeaways from Ecclesiastes? Did it challenge your perspective? Does Ecclesiastes offer a surprisingly hopeful message, or is it a bit too simple for such complex questions? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you for joining me on this exploration through Ecclesiastes. If this book resonated with you, hit that like button and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And until next time, remember, there's more to life than what meets the eye. Stay curious, stay faithful, and stay blessed.